Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to sit down with Josh, and I feel like we've done this a bunch, but people keep asking questions, so we're going to keep doing it. First, I don't even think I have my knife on me. We're giving away 2 battle boxes, so somebody who texts me, I'm giving away a text group person. So the link right here, text me. Subscribe to the text thing. Text me that you watched this video, and I'm going to give away 2 battle boxes to 2 different people. So real quick, we're just gonna open them. But here, it's yours, Josh. You open that one.
I'll give you the heavy
I just got these. So let's go with let's see what's in them. We'll go through it. We'll go through it fast.
Smarter than the box.
There we go. 2% smarter, right?
That's okay.
As old Dan New used to say, but yeah, he'll actually be down here in a couple days.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah!
All right. This is what we got. Deluxe lantern, Coleman Deluxe lantern. A Zippo Typhoon match kit. Hopefully I can put all this back in here. This is gonna be a knife. CIVIVI.
I feel like that's Roman numerals for something, but
yeah. Give me your knife. I need a knife to open a knife. That's a good looking little knife. That thing is sharp. I'll give you $10. But you know it's a sharp knife. You just tell. And then we've got, what's it? Oh, that's nice. It'd been nice to have something like that in BMG.
Oh hell yeah!
Fire resistant wool blanket. Lord and Field Trading Company.
Damn.
That's nice, man.
Yeah. What's
And
that?
then sleeping bag carrier harness. And then you've got survival tools, compass, and then some discount stuff. It's great.
It's a nice box.
What do you got?
Should be okay. Carabiners. Couple of these guys.
A kniff.
Nope.
No? Figure it out.
So the climbing, I'm guessing. You're the climber here.
I think so.
A big game skinner.
How do you... I feel like this should be like a blade or something. I'm probably gonna push a button, it's gonna stab me. I got no idea, man. It's outside of my scope.
Screwdriver.
That's pretty handy. This is like truck stuff. Things you put in your truck. Josh can get sucked into the rabbit hole.
Yeah, this knife should not be handled.
This knife should not be handled. You should not handle this knife.
Should not handle this knife whatsoever. It's definitely in there. You just have to pull it out of the sheath.
I feel like there's a button that I'm going to push.
Flip it up, maybe? There you go.
Do you unscrew it?
While you're discovering the rest of what's about to happen,
I'm going to stab myself on
we'll
camera.
discover the rest of this box. Man, I feel like this is a setup. Like you gave me all the stuff without any directions here. Ah, donkey dick for your gas can.
Oh, so Allie the other night ran out of gas.
Oh yeah.
And then Johnny went and took her a gas can.
Yeah.
Didn't take the donkey dick.
Come on.
Yeah.
So how did he get in there?
He just did it and got gas all over him. Yeah.
Well, Johnny, this would have been very helpful. It's actually kind of nice. It's like your emergency one. Got some hot shot, fire lube in a tube.
That's
fire
handy.
starter. Got another knife. Actually, this one's got like a seatbelt cutter in there as well. Those are always good.
Yeah.
Claws. Dude, that looks like a Jeep Wagoneer, except it's got way more tires. I don't know.
Is it dual axle?
2 tires in the back here, and we got 2, 4, 6 tires. It looks like an old Jeep Wagoneer. Pretty bad. Fire suppression device.
I thought you were going to say bear spray.
I thought it was going to be bear spray, but it's a fire suppression, so like a fire extinguisher. It's pretty cool. Another piece of the donkey dick. And, oh, here we go. Here's your saw blades.
For this.
Uh-huh.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, so you unscrew them.
Dude.
And then put these in here.
Unscrew it, put it in, and then this guy...
I'm not that stupid.
No. This guy turns into the handle.
I see.
You unscrew it, screw it through the hole, and then it's like
there you go.
A razor talon. So
there you go, guys. Battlebox, good friends of mine. Used to be business partners. You guys remember Spartan Carton? So now they're still trucking with that. They have a Netflix show out there now. Anyways, now let's get into the meat of things.
Oh, boy.
All right. So Josh, how about them politics? So we've never talked about politics, but I'm just curious, before we get into the military stuff, what is your personal opinion on the state of affairs of how people are acting? And
really going there. I just want to be free. I just want to be me and do my shit.
Yeah.
I just want to live my life. I just want to be me and have people leave me the fuck alone. That's all I care about. And that's all really I want anybody to be able to do.
So do you think that, what's your thoughts on this, like, curfew, 10 to 5 curfews in cities?
No, it's fucking ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. That is when I feel that you put restrictions, you put things on people like that when you just don't have any faith or belief in the populace that they're capable of being good human beings. Otherwise, you wouldn't do so. I mean, we did that countless times in countless countries.
And it was to control the populace.
And not just us, every military man, essentially, who's really ever been deployed in a combat zone has probably been a part of those same type of restrictions. Except for we were the ones imposing them.
Right, and it was 100% to control the populace.
100%.
Yeah.
So that way, we impose this stuff on them, and then we controlled them 100%, and then anybody who was not abiding by it, by default, was just deemed, a shitbag, like a nefarious person, a person who's out for ill-intended purposes, and then you just...
In the early days of Iraq, it was like, if you're outside past curfew, you're dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really hope it doesn't get to that point here. I highly doubt that it will, but I'm just like, those are the steps.
It's crazy
of how you can get there very easily. It's
crazy to think that this is even happening in our country.
I think it's preposterous. I think it's even more preposterous that so many people are blind to the fact that this is happening.
And they just...
Or the severity
of it. Throw their hands up and be like...
Yeah. We're like, well, hey, it's not so bad, folks. Just, just listen to them and, just don't just do what they're telling you to do, and, don't go outdoors and don't, lead a life. Now, I'm not saying that, really anything good happens after midnight anyways. Isn't that the old adage that you say? Like, nothing good happens after midnight. Right. But, dude, there's plenty of times, man, where it's like,
At what point do you get hemmed up by the local police because you're going to buy diapers for your kid?
Yeah. Or, you got medicine in the middle of the night for a child.
Anything.
You're picking a family member up from the airport who flew in late. Or we're spending time together, which is illegal, I guess, anyways. But, I mean, we're hanging out with each other. We have dinner and, I don't know, we watch a movie or something. And then now I'm driving back to my house at midnight. Nothing wrong with what we're doing. But immediately, the problem with that is immediately you get roped into that pool of people that is, conducting bad activities. And that kind of already is probably what police, how they operate anyways. But
yeah.
But even more so when you put these restrictions on there and you put, things that people cannot do anymore. It amps up, in my mind. I'm not a police officer, but I would imagine that their level of, it kind of escalates. Like their level of intensity maybe on the people.
Well, it's a psychology thing. I think that they're putting people in categories.
Yeah.
Which is what it's how you create a socialist country. Essentially, is you divide people and you put them into different blocks and then you put them against each other. But even a good cop that doesn't agree with what's going on,
yes,
psychologically he's like, okay, well, he's already going to be he or she are already going to be in the red if people are outside because they don't know, right?
Yeah, I mean, without these timely curfews and things put in place, it's already the night shift guys. I mean, they're already ramped up a little bit because that's just when crap happens. Yeah. The unfortunate things happen to people. I mean, you get DUIs, drunk driving. You get I don't know, like fights and stuff like that at home, fights in bars, or things usually happen. Worse things usually happen at night. Break-ins, burglaries, murders, things like that. And then now you put these other things on people where they can't be out, and then they have to enforce that. It's one more thing they have to enforce on top of already being put in some pretty crappy situations.
Not in my America.
I'm trying to find out where that is.
It's sad. It's sad that it's come to that. It's come to this, and so fast within a year. I mean, just beginning of this year, everything was normal, and it's like people. It amazes me that people just give up so much freedom so fast for perceived safety or security.
When you slowly take it away, or when you quickly take it away, which was initially what had happened.
Yeah.
Right? Like they quickly took a lot of things away or put a lot of things in place, disallowing people to do certain things or activities, whether that be business, personal, whatever you want to consider it. Right? And then they slowly give it back a little bit to kind of put people at ease. Like, oh, well, it's not so bad. They're letting us go to work again, or they're letting us go shopping again.
Well, that's just crazy.
They're letting us out a little bit.
Letting us.
So already you're in like, oh, this is now an allowance factor that they're so nice that they're letting me do these things, and then they take it right back away again.
Yeah, because Oregon gyms are shut back down. They're on lockdown again in Oregon. I think it's Oregon or California. I'm sure somebody will fact check me on this, but strip clubs are open and legal, but churches are not allowed.
There's plenty of soul seeking going on in strip clubs.
I get it. But when it comes down to the Constitution, and I'm not a super religious guy, but I'll be damn sure that I think that people have the freedom of religion and the freedom to go to church, because that's part of what this country is founded on.
Not just freedoms in general.
Yeah.
Right? Like people abiding or living by like good human practices and good human principles. Like back in the day when there was, back in the day, like a year ago.
Literally back in the day.
Seriously. And like, you had the flu, you called in sick to work, or you felt ill, like you called in sick to work.
Yeah.
Or you didn't maybe go out of the house as much. You took care of yourself. You took care of the ones around you. I mean, like that's what I just don't like.
Did you see that video I shared on Instagram about the doctor that actually is in the COVID testing business?
No.
And they're trying to change the amendments right now. Someone is trying to change the amendments to where they make mask a mandatory legal bounding thing so that you can be charged if not wearing a mask.
I bet you it's quickly coming.
And he basically, like for 5 minutes, ripped them apart about how it's just a complete facade. It's a complete scam.
Who ripped them apart?
The doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, the doctor. And
I think it might have been one of the things you did, and I just was not in the mental frame to watch it at that moment.
To watch
so
that.
I went to it, and then I pressed save and saved it.
Yeah, here it is. So Dr. Dr. Roger Hodgkinson. I mean, he's got some amazing credentials in pathology. It is just absolutely awesome. You guys go listen, go watch it. Go look up Dr. Roger Hodgkins. He ripped them apart, and he's like, I'm in the testing business, and he even said he even was talking about how the testing is flawed.
It's ridiculously flawed. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not the one conducting these tests, but I probably know.
I have a brain. I'm an individual thinker.
I know at minimum a dozen people, and this was a bunch of people that I had talked to when I was up in New York, because there's different. Every state is kind of operating differently, or county, city, like everything. There's no blanket thing that's happening. Anyways, that they either themselves or knew someone very close. So it's not like, hey, I knew this second uncle who told me the story. It's like legitimately someone close to them, where they went to the testing facilities, they signed the login, check-in sheet that they were there to get tested, and then they're looking at their clock and they're like, dude, it's 10 o'clock. I got to get to work. Like, I've been here for 2.5 hours. I got to go. Never got tested.
And they
go to work.
Positive.
A week later, they get a letter in the mail saying, yeah, they tested positive. They need to quarantine. They need to notify everyone.
They never got tested.
They never even got tested. They signed in the paper. That's all.
I've heard from multiple people that that's happened as well.
There's flaws in any system. I get it. I guess my biggest thing is I don't like control. And I said that to someone. They're like, well, you were in the military. How do you not understand control? I'm like, no, I understand it. And I don't
more so than
most people. Yeah. And I just don't like it. Like, I know what it's like to either be in countries and watch those people be controlled, and have, even at the time we were in those different places, have a little bit of empathy towards them and realize, like, holy shit, from their shoes, the way they grow up, totally different than mine. They have no freedom. They don't have this. They don't have that. Wow, I am thankful, to be where I'm from. I'm thankful to be born the year that I was born, the time frame,
100%.
the location. Like, that's all by happenstance, man.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't choose that.
I
didn't dictate that. That just happened.
1 in a trillion, man. Yeah.
And it's a great thing, And then being someone who's imposed these regulations on different populaces of people in different countries at all different age brackets, but all for the same thing, for complete and utter control. To be able to dictate their movement, dictate what they're able to do, so I have the upper hand. In those situations, it was kind of needed because it was a little bit different. It was wartime or controlling factor, but in reality, it's the same thing, man. It's control.
Thing. Yeah.
And now I feel that that's happening to me.
And so many people are just blindly letting it happen.
And my kids, that is what hurts me as a human being, and that's like. It sounds, like a weird thing to say, and I said it to some people, and they're like, "Oh, that sounds like a real pussy statement." I'm like, "No, man, that's a real statement from me. Like watching my kids have to go through this." I was talking to a friend of mine, and up in New York, and he was like, just so baffled and frustrated at kind of everything we're talking about. And I think his 3 or 4 year old daughter or something like that, where she was excited to try and match like her mask with her outfit. Like, that's fucking sad, man. That's really sad that that's what our kids are now like trying to do. Is they're trying to
just
match
like that.
masks with outfits, and and they don't know any better. So I don't blame them. It's not their fault that she's being excited. She's just a little kid. Having an excitement factor about something, and that's beautiful. But what it's for is what hurts, and that's
And it's for nothing.
I mean, it's it's for something somewhere. Like, there's obviously this a flu type thing that's happening, right?
No. I mean, but
what I mean?
But they come out and say, and the doctor straight up said that masks don't work. Like, this is a doctor he's a doctorate in pathology. He went to Cambridge University, and he's like straight up says like it's not going to do anything. If they work, then wouldn't we all be done by now? Like, we quarantined, we did all the things. It should all be over with now. And
one of the other things, man, like, sit back and do like a social experiment for yourself, or anybody who's watching. Like, put yourself in a situation or an environment, like walk into a grocery store, or like, I don't know, a mall, or a shopping center, something like that, right? Put yourself in a public setting where people are indoors, and watch people of different age groups, demographics, and then depending on where you live, mask or not mask, because some places you don't have to, but people do. And just watch how people either interact or do not interact with people anymore. It's scary.
It's scary.
I mean, it's scary, like, how far...
If I go out...
social distance is like, we are now just
afraid
removing
of each other.
to even come in a close proximity of another human being. People don't look each other in the eyes anymore.
No.
Because they think they're like, oh, fuck, I don't know. I mean, like, they're just scared. And, like, and having, like, this scared...
It's like when you reach,
is not good.
And that's when it comes down to is fears. Like if you allow fear to control your life and dictate your moves, like you're already you're just screwed up. Like I will never base my decisions or movements off fear. Even now, like I go and introduce myself and I go to shake someone's hand and they're like,
yeah, we really can't do that. I don't know if we're supposed to do that anymore. I'm like, what do you mean we're supposed to do that anymore? Like, who's telling you can't?
Right.
Like,
and I know everybody's gonna be like, well, you're gonna get COVID and you're gonna get this. Okay, listen, you're gonna get COVID. You know, I'm not worried about a disease that has a 99.7% survival rate. I'm like,
maybe even higher. I was
listening
to some stuff, and that's where the doctors come in, right? Like the actual doctors who are researching things like this to figure that. But
I'm not gonna change the way I look at other people and change the way that I my life for a disease that is essentially a bad cold/flu. You know, like it's not going to happen.
No.
And I'm not going to treat. But people will look at me, and luckily I live in a very this is a very small area.
Yeah.
And we don't really play by those kind of like majority of the places are not really playing by those rules. Even though we have a communist socialist governor right now. And that's a separate conversation. But luckily this area is kind of small, and apart from my situation at the gym, it's been nice. But if you go down somewhere else in Wilmington and you don't do those sort of things, they look at you like you're the devil.
Yeah, like I'm literally carrying around like the plague and one of those perfume things, like squirting it at people.
Yeah.
Like, and I have this aura around me that's gonna just infect and kill anybody I come near. It's scary, man.
But like we're talking, and that's what frustrates me is people are acting like this, and the government's pulling all these strings and trying to control the populace. But no one is actually talking about health and getting healthy in the United States.
No.
No one's saying, hey, you should go to the gym and lose weight because you'll be healthier and you'll be more asymptomatic if you do get it.
Set yourself up for success as best as humanly possible, right? Like,
but no, gyms are closed, McDonald's are open. Like if this is a true health crisis, why are we not really talking about health?
Because it takes work.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. It takes work. It takes effort, and then that might.
And then they don't have to. They don't have
the control over it.
They don't use the control anymore. And that's the thing. Is like if you're really going to talk about this, if you're really listening to this, you're really. Even if you would disagree with me, really ask yourself, is this truly about health? Because if it is, why are we not attacking the obesity problem in America? Why are we not talking about heart disease? Why are we not talking about all these food choices and where our food comes from? Not to get super hippie on everybody, but like, if it's a health crisis, which we do before, and we had a health crisis
well before this,
well before COVID, why aren't we discussing these topics?
If anything, it's not saying it's going to make you 100% impenetrable to anything.
Healthy people die all the time. But, I can go get hit by a fucking bus.
Surely it's going to increase your odds on any medical situation that you're going to get yourself into. I mean, we have clients right now that we're working with that are like on our training programs and doing and working with us solely for the fact because they're going into surgery. Like they want to set themselves up as best as they can to go into surgery. So like it's not always.
And we've had, I want to say 4 or 5 people get COVID. 4 or 5 of our training clients had with the Agoge.
I know 3 for sure. I think there's more, but I can't confirm.
One just popped.
Oh, okay.
Well, his wife popped, and then he thinks he hasn't had a test, but he's like got symptoms.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, we'll work. He's like, dude, honestly, he went and worked out.
Dude. I've done everything people aren't supposed to do since March.
Right.
I've been in 30 some states, maybe 26. I don't know. I stopped counting. But like, I've been in deep cities. I've been in the wilderness. I've been in, densely populated areas, small populated areas, small towns. I've been all over the place. I've traveled up, down, left, and right.
Have you been afraid of people the whole time?
Through this entire country. Hell no.
Like ducking and dodging people?
No, man.
Yeah.
No. I've never once looked at it like from my point of view like that. But I tell you what's weird, or what's very interesting, I should say maybe, is like all the different states that we've been in, all the different places we've gone to. It's like I'm constantly conducting my own social experiment to see, well, what is it like here today?
I remember, I know Hannah was talking about that at dinner, how she was like, you guys have gotten into an area and you just kind of pause and just see, like, how do people act here? What are they expecting? Because before you do anything, you just kind of have to like watch and like see what's the environment
what's
like.
The social norm around here? Like,
right.
How weirded out are people around here? And
can I be myself, or do I need to like suppress it a little bit? Yeah. Anyways, well, that sucks. Let's get into it.
Thanks for starting off with a bang.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's what people are all talking about. That's what they want to hear. And I just personally could give two shits. And then, we can get into the whole president thing too. It's like, I obviously, with my channel, I've told everybody where I have a president, and then we can get into the election thing, which is just a shame that, and what sucks is the American people will never trust an election again. At the end of the day, regardless of who you want to win, and I feel like you're probably on the same page as I am, even though, just so you know, like Josh and I have never talked politics, and I think of the 10 years, 10 years now?
Yeah.
Since 10 years, I don't think we've ever talked politics.
Because, to be honest,
it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter.
So that's my point, is like, as much as I want, this election to go the way that it should, and just give me 4 more years to get our business in order so that we can have an exit strategy. As much as I want that, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like, yes, will things change? Yeah, they will. But I'm still going to work hard. I'm still going to wake up at a certain time. I'm still going to train my body. I'm still going to, select the foods that I put in my mouth. And I'm still going to work on my business and, do...
And that's what we've been trying to tell. I've been trying to tell myself, because I mean, you need to tell yourself that.
And our clients too. That people that have been.
It's like a self reassurance, to your own self. So I've been trying to do that to myself and with the kids.
Yeah.
Where they'll input like questions every once in a while. They'll say something, and I don't lie to them, and I don't purposely try and skirt around something. But these are the principles that that we talk about. Is let's live our life. We're still waking up every day. We're still, playing with each other every day, hanging out with each other every day. We're still going to conduct an activity that's fun, that no one's going to be able to hold us down, because we're going to create whatever is fun to us and enjoyable. We're still going to have dinner, and we're going to go to bed, maybe watch a movie together, maybe have some ice cream. But our normal life activities are not going to change. And I cannot, meaning like I have to put my foot down with my own self and my family and state that this cannot happen, no matter how much someone wants to disallow me to be able to do, or whatever you want to call it, man. Like, I still have to live by those life principles and make sure that like my kids still have that view of the world of, not being so concerned about, external things, affecting your daily activities.
And the rest of the stuff, we pivot. We'll pivot and figure it out and keep moving forward and keep making money, and doesn't really matter. Anyways, all right. All right, let's just get into the military stuff. You want to?
Yeah.
You want to get into
Let's go.
Should we do this in order, or should we just
go in order?
Just go.
That way, if I bounce around,
I love this one.
I'd rather just stay.
Everybody says that. Everybody says I've never seen a small Raider. They're just bigger. They're just bigger and bigger.
I've seen plenty of small ones.
And one of the things that, one of the greatest ones is, Eddie Bravo.
Oh, dude.
I don't even know. He had to have been under 150.
So small in stature, small in height, and smaller in body frame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the dude could carry just as much weight as me and move just as fast as me. So, yes, you can be small and be
Come in all shapes and sizes.
All shapes and sizes. And honestly, dude, those dudes are I don't know. Maybe they have more to prove. I don't know what it is, but dude, all the small guys that I've known were like top performers.
Raging little Spitfires.
Yeah. So, if you manage to get into special operations in the next few years, what do you guys envision the mission sets will be? Like, do you see many combat deployments happen? So this is something that I talked about. This is something I talked about with the whole changing of the Trump administration.
Yeah.
The conventional forces were he was like, you're out.
Yep.
We're dealing with an asymmetrical fight at the time. So he really employed SOF. So I think that you'll see a lot of, it'll kind of go back to peacetime SOF missions with training and
I mean, to be honest, like the location may change.
Yeah.
It may not. Like there's going to be a location where guys are still conducting activities and doing work.
Yeah, that's why I call it training. I'm just going to call it SOF or out doing
you know what I mean? And then there's going to be guys that are back stateside that are still conducting, legitimate training in preparation to go somewhere and do their job.
And I mean training deployed.
Yeah.
Training. You're out.
You know what I mean? Like that. That's never going to change. Hopefully, because otherwise, then they become.
It's happening right now. It's happening right now, and we're shaping the battlefield, and we've, like, where's ISIS? Strange. Yeah. So no, I think it will be. I think SOF will do what SOF has always done. I think, unfortunately, during the war, our time, sometimes our deployments were not what we should have been doing. Because the battle space was such a conventional mindset, SOF kind of got wrapped into this whole playing whack-a-mole and, not really focus on its core task. But then once we went back to that,
pulled back, and kind of went back to,
it started shaping the battlefield, and we were able, and like our deployment, we were able to affect actual change in an area. And I think that's what you'll see a lot more is, this is my personal opinion, is a lot more of that in a variety of countries.
Yeah.
Are we doing the day in the life of Marsoc? Should that be a separate video?
It can be a whole separate video. But
yeah, we'll do a day in the life of a Marsoc raider, both past and current.
Yep.
Yeah, later. Is it possible to get into Recon or Force Recon contract off the bat? Do you reckon? So yeah, you can do a Recon contract. I don't think you could do it in my day. I don't think you could. But yeah, you can do a Recon contract. But I think if you don't make it, you're infantry.
I have a couple guys that are on our training right now that have gotten out and they're looking to go back in. And they want the 21 contract. They want to be able to go to BRC, and recruiters are giving them the old sleight of hand of, well, I can get you in as an 11, and then hopefully, we can get you a slot to BRC. Like with the hopefuls, with the good intentions. Nah, man.
So this is my advice. It's different between a contract and an option. An option means you get to take the screener at SOI.
Yeah.
And then if you pass the screener and you meet all the requirements, ASVAB score and GT score and whatnot plus training, then you get to do it. But my thing is, why not go for it? Why not lock that in? And the only person that you have to blame, not your recruiter, not your mom, not your daddy, not your drill instructor, your instructor or whatever. The only person you have to blame is yourself.
Yep.
That's it.
And that's what I'm telling these guys right now.
Yeah.
And I say, hey, I'm not in your shoes. I'm not the one talking to the recruiter. The back and forth, conversations or the sit downs, whatever you guys are having.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. But if I were you, and especially the guys who've already done an enlistment, I said, hey, you guys know a little bit more than someone who's never been in.
Yeah.
Right? Like you kind of have a little bit of inside knowledge at this point. So if you do not get what you want, me personally, I would not sign the paperwork. I would just put my foot in the mud and say, okay, if there's not one open right now, then I'm going to wait.
You're either all in or
I'm going to wait 3 months or I'll wait 6 months. I'm going to wait until that slot opens and I'm going to keep training and keep prepping myself. And I'm just going to be in, better physical, mental shape so I can knock it out of the ballpark, man. But I'm not signing something if I don't have what I want. And I did that in my career, and I'm not. And I tell people the same.
Yeah, I mean, you're either those type of jobs when you go for any sort of soft selection or you go for Force Recon or Recon or whatever, dude, you have to be mentally all in. Like you're there to die on your hill.
Yeah, there's no half-half.
There's no half-half and like contingency plans and all this kind of stuff. I mean, you can figure that shit out after in, but you mentally have to go into that because if you even have like a A, B, C, D, whatever contingency plan while you're at B or C or at selection, as soon as shit goes sideways, because it will, your mind is going to go, oh, well, I can just go to B.
Yeah, well, you know what? This
sucks.
Section of whatever we're conducting right now, it kind of sucks, and I don't know if I'm going to make it because this guy's faster than me, and I think he's a little bit tougher than me, so, well, maybe I'll just not put forth the effort because I can just go do this because I already have this set up for me.
Right.
Like, fuck no, man. I didn't have nothing. I mean, I talked about it with, was it Chris Albert? You talked to him as well.
Yeah.
And I told him the whole thing of what I did, man. I had nothing. I had an RE3 Oscar. Like, dude, I was...
Same.
They're
like,
there was no fallback, man.
That's what I think. There's a question. There's a question on here about like, what did you think? What was your plan B if you didn't make it through Recon? I was like, I would have been out. I was talking to Allie about it. I would have been out of the Marine Corps because I did a lat move, and my graduation date was August 31st. My EAS was October 12th. So,
you're done, man.
If I didn't graduate from ARS, I was out of the Marine Corps. I lost my boat space because I didn't select it to re-enlist.
Yeah.
So my re-enlistment was contingent on...
It's pretty much where mine was.
Being in 0321.
I was in selection. So I don't remember the date. No, it would have been... Yeah, I think I was
close.
somewhere around that time too. It was like 2 months or something
Yeah.
afterwards. I would have gotten out, and then once I had passed, I had a re-enlist in order to go.
That changes your thought process of what you're going through.
Yeah, dude.
It's like there's no option.
No, I was
there's
like,
forward.
Training like 3 days.
Yeah.
Prior to going there.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make it happen.
Yeah. Anyways, so there's you go. There's your mindset on that. If you're 18 right now, would you still join the military having all the knowledge and experience that you have, also with everything that's going on right now? Yeah, I mean, I would. I mean, obviously, the military is drastically different from our day, but I personally would, and I honestly, like, as weird as it is, I have no issues with, my future son going in. Whether it be for college benefits or, for whatever. But the reason why that I would like, personally, I'd like to see him eventually, is it's a service mentality. It's something that's bigger than you.
Yeah.
And it sucks, right? It sucks. And I think that going in, serving people and having to take orders and go through that whole process, one, makes you grow up, but it makes you appreciate certain things. And you can say, like, I actually did something and served my country. I gave. I think that's the biggest thing.
In some sort of capacity. It doesn't mean you need to go straight into recon or like SF.
No, I'd actually prefer. I'd actually prefer maybe not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like maybe there's some. Hopefully, I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see how that goes. But no, I wouldn't change anything. So if I was, 18 right now, I would say I'd probably still want to be a Recon Marine or a Raider.
I was going in no matter what. Like that was my decision.
Yeah, you gave up a scholarship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where were you going to go to school?
That was the whole point. I had a couple different places I could have went, but I just didn't.
That wasn't it.
No, man. School wasn't my bag. I wanted to.
You broke the Honsberger baseball tradition.
I wrote it out for quite some time. So, yeah.
Guy can still knock him out of the park, though.
It's the hardest thing about adopting to civilian life after being in the military for so long, and what will you miss the most about your military experience? The hardest thing about adapting. Well, the hardest thing about adapting is not adopting an entire new mindset and realization that you're not in anymore.
Yeah.
And the quicker that you make that mental switch and that understanding about your life and create a new direction forward, then that's when things will start opening.
I wrote a book about it.
Well, what do you know?
Yeah, well, you know, strangely placed there.
Yep.
Yeah, I like to say you adopt a different mindset, because so many people, the best thing they've ever done in their life is being in the military.
Yep.
Like
for a lot of people, it is. It's a very transformative time in their life.
Yeah.
They usually went in when they were 18 to whatever, if it was 4 years or 6 years or 8 or something like that, right? Like, it's a big part of their life. It created who they were.
Sure, but like that's
as an adult.
The bar is set so low. If like by the time you are 30, you get out, or 21, and the greatest thing you've ever done in your entire life is served in the military at whatever capacity you did. Like, that can't be it. You've got 40 to 60 more years
to do something
to live, to do something else.
It's an amazing thing, and no one can ever take it from you. Just like
it'll always be a part of you.
Yeah,
yeah.
Just like a guy who played, I don't know, Division I football or something. He
Right.
didn't go to the NFL, but went on to a different career in, I don't know, pediatrics or whatever, man. Like something that has nothing to do with their job. You have to make that switch, knowing that you're not doing that.
And
job.
it takes time, and that's why the book is, it's called The 7 Stages of Transition. It does take time, and it takes time to adjust and to figure out what the next thing is, and honestly to figure out what who you are, because while you're in, everything is your identity is wrapped up being in the military. So it takes a while to figure out, like, you can be whoever you want to be, whatever kind of purple unicorn you want to be these days. You can do whatever you want to do. Biggest challenges from, as a whole, your training in schools for Marsoc and or Recon. Biggest challenges.
Whatever was in front of me at that time.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a very broad question, but I think that it really comes down to, whatever that hurdle is at the time, you take it at an individual. Yeah.
Because, when you're going through your initial stages.
Because there's so many.
That initial stage, that's your hardest because you're trying to get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
And then there's a stage after that. You're trying to, push through that. And then you're going to another school that you probably don't have much knowledge or information about. So now you have to relearn something else. So then that's your hardest because you got to learn it, adopt it, and then be proficient at it.
This is a big one. How to train for Recon with absolutely no access to a pool. You don't. You fucking find one.
Find one.
If you think that you're going to go to Recon or go to Selection or go to ITC and never put your body in a pool, you're going to fail. That's my opinion. Unless you, prior to training, you were an Olympic water polo team member.
Yeah, water polo is probably the closest people because they actually get the shit beat out of them.
Yeah, like that's the only thing. Like if you have a history in water polo, and you played at an elite level, then maybe you're okay. But if you think that you're not going to train, that's why all of our programs have pool work built into them. It's mandatory, because I would say 50% of the quitters quit in the pool.
If you don't have a pool, find a lake. You know, the lake, find a pond. You know, a pond, find the ocean or the Gulf.
But
get
in the water. There's a hard no. If you have absolutely no pool access to a pool, do not set yourself up for failure, because you are.
It's not everything, but it's a huge part of the process.
Huge part of it.
It's a long one.
Yeah, opportunities might have after service. I've also been considering trying out for Reconnaissance Raiders. Sign for basic intelligence contract, 5 years. You are going to be in that job for 5 years, because I don't think they're in that community. I think it's a high needs MOS.
I think you have to retain. Like, there's not much transfer. You
can lat move, maybe.
I know some guys who have, but I don't know anybody who is junior in that field.
Yeah,
that didn't move over.
Trying out for Recon or Raider after your first few years might be difficult. I would talk to a career planner and monitor.
Yeah. Step one would be to be as proficient as humanly possible. Yeah. At your job that you're serving in, or that you will be serving in. Yeah. Be the best that you can be at that capacity, so then you look like a high level candidate, to cross over into something else.
And then as far as outside, like when you get out after that 5 years, dude,
It's too far down the road.
Too far down the road, but trust me, you'll have, as an intelligence, somebody who works in the intelligence field, you will have plenty of opportunities. And you will know those once you're in, because you'll have networked and worked with people. Let's see. This is a question, I'm going to try to be real clear. Question between Recon and Force Recon, 25 miles. That's really it. It's a 25-mile radius. And, and both are 0321s. So while there's a couple little differences, it's still the reconnaissance community, and I've served in both Recon Battalion and Force Recon. And,
What do you think about joining the military above the age of 25 or after college? Awesome.
Yeah.
I believe so, because you're going to be framed with a little more life experience.
Several programs will pay your college off, depending on what your field are, like medical and some things like that. Will pay your college tuition off if you join for a certain amount of years.
So not another bad option.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of college, even though I just got my master's degree in August, but I didn't pay a dime for it. Actually, that's not true. I paid like $1,400 for my last class because my GI Bill ran out. But I tell kids all the time, they're like, should I go to college or should I join the military? And my question is, how are you going to pay for college? If it's going to be student loans and that kind of bullshit, then no, join the military. Have somebody else pay for it. It's not that big of a deal.
Depending on your MOS and how you allocate your time.
Yeah.
I did not allocate it very smartly or intelligently. But I know plenty of people that use their time wisely and their resources, and you can go to school.
I say that, but it was like 10 years.
Yeah, but you still did it. So I know plenty of people that have joined, been active, been enlisted and been active.
Yeah.
And you can go to school.
Yeah.
And
for free.
While you're in, you don't use your GI Bill. It's a totally different pot of money.
Yep.
And you get free schooling, if you can juggle everything,
So that's what I did, was I did my general education, my associate's degree while I was in, which gave me the ability to finish my bachelor's and a master's program on my GI Bill, which was, I had to pay. They actually pay you to go to school, which is brilliant. So if you're gonna go to college, unless it's a scholarship, I wouldn't waste your money, man. Don't go in debt to go to school. YouTube and the internet, like what did Elon Musk say? Like you don't need higher education. Most of the time, all that stuff is behind. To give you an example, Johnny's in an internet marketing degree right now, and one of his instructors evaluated his website and says you should remove this text pop up. People don't like it. It's spammy. And I'm like, okay, this is a marketing professor saying this. So we pulled the metrics
on that pop-up
of how much money that pop-up has made us in a matter of 90 days. And all it is a text notification. Yeah. Like you get notified if a product goes in, we can message out. So we just, we shared the metric. He shared the metric with her. And she gave him a bad grade. Well, not a bad grade. She gave him an 85. And then she responded, well, that's so nice that's working out for you like that. And it's a significant amount of money, right?
Meanwhile, a marketing team that you're working with, who's currently working in the field, is providing this new information that's current with the times.
Yeah. Anyway, so my point being with college is it's not all it's cracked up to be, and there's a lot of information out there. And if you want to be a freaking rocket scientist, you could get your own books, go on the internet, and just dive into that for the next 5 years with no college, and be like one of the leading, people in the industry as far as knowing the data. So, anyways, so this one is one that we've discussed at length in other videos, but we got to hit it again. Officers in Marsoc.
Okay. What about them?
People that want to be an officer in Marsoc. What do you think? What makes a good one? First off, how do you get there? Is quite difficult. I mean, when you go to TBS, I mean, you were at Quantico for a little while. You taught those guys.
Yep.
You don't really get to pick your job. You get to pick your top three, and then you get thrown in thirds.
Top three, thirds, and it's based off of performance.
Yeah.
Max. There's a whole algorithm that goes into it, but.
And then, so if you want to be the good thing is now, Marsoc has an officer MOS, so it's 0370. So any officer can take selection, just like any enlisted Marine can come and go to take selection. So then you're in the community forever.
Which is awesome.
Which is awesome. But your team time is
very limited.
Yeah.
Typically. I do know one that
got two
has been out with multiple teams, been an XO of that same company.
Yeah, but how many teams did he?
Two.
So that's the max. So like that's typically the max. Typically an officer is going to get one tour with the team, and then he's moving on. Even as a career, Raider officer. So that's like when people are talking about being an officer, you have to put yourself in check of like what I always ask, what is it that you imagine yourself doing?
Yeah.
Because if you imagine yourself going out on ops and actually doing the job, then being an officer is not what you want to do. And I'm not saying that they don't get to do that sometimes, but it's not their primary job.
No, they're there to conduct a different job within that job.
Yeah.
A different portion of it, just like someone on the team is like your Delta, your medic, your SARC.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they're doing the stuff that the team is doing, but they're actually tasked there to do a very specific thing.
Yeah.
And they are tasked to do a specific thing as well.
And then once you're done with your team time, you're gonna go be an assistant ops or XO, or you're gonna move on to something else. You're gonna go to the regiment. You're gonna go training. You're gonna go to the G7. You're gonna go something.
Yeah. I would like to see, and again, haven't been there in a while, but I still have communication with people and talk. Like, I would like to see, hopefully maybe they've filled up some ranks or something somewhere on the upper side and keep guys around longer in the teams. And I wish they would have done it in the very beginning. But the longer you keep them around the teams, there still has to be a progression somewhere. I understand that.
Yeah.
But if you keep them in the teams a little bit longer, they have that much more context of what the teams are about, of what the operational needs and how the job is actually operationally conducted from the men, because they've been with them, they've been on the team with them. And then they just, instead of escalating them so far up the political spectrum of it, I mean, essentially is delay the process a little bit, keep them in the teams a little bit longer, make them do at least a couple rotations, and then, make them do something else from a company capacity before they can move up. And so that way, once they get to a point where they're actually like, injecting policy or talking to other soft leaders,
they've experienced it.
They can now come with background knowledge, information, and firsthand actions, and speak maybe a little more, eloquently about what's really happening.
I think this is where it gets that officers get a bad rep in the command, is because of that exact thing. They don't have the experience. So, for instance, one of the times, one of my officers, we would say like, hey, why are we doing this? Or we need to do this. Like, this is a problem. Like, we've just done this. It's like Groundhog's Day. Why aren't they listening? And he would be like, well, what's the problem, man? It's not that big of a deal. It's like, dude, this is your first, this is your first time. This is our 7th.
Yeah.
We've been dealing with the same bullshit for 7 rotations. And he's like, well, it's not a big deal. But then as soon as you get that team, that officer that's in the team the second, he's like, we just dealt with this last time. Why are we doing this? Yeah. So it's like that perception of, them having to be in it with the guys that have been doing it professionally for over a decade. Now their perception changes, and they, like you said, they've got that experience of, now I want to actually make things better. Because at the end of the day, officers make policy, enlisted enforce policy.
And a lot of this is set up against them, really. I mean,
it is.
It's not their fault that this is the structure of where it is. But if you go into it with the awareness and the understanding that this is how it is. Maybe, on your first time around, you can go into it kind of knowing that,
right,
and be a little more open, to what's going to go on, so you can be the receiver of it, and as you get pushed through, maybe be a little more knowledgeable on how things really happen.
So what do you think? What's some good qualities that, like, if you were going in as an officer today, what are some qualities that they should have to be most effective on a team and in the command?
Be the best officer that they can. Now that sounds very bland and
break it down for me.
In very broad spectrum. But to be quite honest, they're there to serve a job. They're there to do a certain task. Just as a breacher has a task, or the weapons guy, or the medic. Be the fucking best that you can be. Be there to assist your men, right? Be there to listen to them, receive what they're saying. So, because you're the one who's talking to higher. You're the one who's really projecting the men's message. And if they're the ones that
have been doing it way longer than you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So use them to basically be armed with the ammo of maybe what you want to tell higher, and then use your knowledge and your expertise as being an officer and understanding the policy and understanding, maybe some of the other backdoor stuff that's happening at that time, to be able how to project what the men are trying to say and trying to do, not your own objectives for yourself. So really just be the best officer that you can be, and then also listen to them, because like you said, they've been doing it for longer. It ain't your fault.
Yeah.
Put the ego down and take the rank off.
It's funny you say that, because a lot of officers will get very career orientated, and they'll really think about themselves and their career and what's best for them. And what's always best for them isn't necessarily always what's best for the men and the team.
Usually it's the direct opposite.
Yeah.
So don't get those two misconstrued. Understand and kind of hold yourself in the environment that you're in, and stop thinking about, personal longevity or career longevity. Not to negate your career, but
of course.
Don't think so far in the future that you're not really concerned and fully wrapped up into what's happening right now, to ensure that your team, one, is able to do their job as best as humanly possible. They get out alive, and they're geared or armed with everything that you can give them and everything you can provide them, because you're the only guy in the team that has that job.
Because the flip side of that, and I'm a little jaded, but with officers, but the flip side of that is the officer worries about their own career, and then literally ruins, and has the ability to ruin the men's a guy on the team career.
And this isn't to talk all negatively against officers. It's not that whatsoever. It's just
they ask
with the questions being imposed.
Yeah.
And this goes across the line of, really, you could say, any MOS.
That's true.
This isn't just,
just the unit.
Being in the Raider community. I mean, this is any MOS across the board. You have to remember, I wouldn't go into lead. If you were in the outside world, in the civilian sector, you wouldn't jump into a company not having any knowledge or information about how the company operates. Well, people do it all the time, but I hope not.
Yeah, what their workflow is, what their operational status is.
And you just come in as a guy who has experience in managerial or supervisory roles and responsibilities.
Are told that they are.
Yeah, and then you just jump in and not listen to the people who are on the ground floor, doing the work.
I think that's probably one of the biggest gripes that I have with the Marine Corps in the officer community is through OCS and TBS, they are literally told they're in charge, that they know better, that they have better leadership. So the ones that are not astute enough to realize that's kind of some bullshit, and they go in believing that, it damn near destroys a team or platoon.
I've had officers, man, that were just cooler than hell.
Yeah.
That I had an amazing relationship with. And it's not them dumbing themselves down to our level. It's us working collectively as a team or as a unit.
Well, it's just
cohesive and how it should
with
be.
any leader. With any leader, you approach a team, or you approach in any business or military or whatever. You approach them with identifying everyone's strengths and what they can bring to the table, and that's how a team you apply everyone's strengths. And if you find someone that has a strength, you put them in that and you add fuel to it.
Yeah.
Right? that's what, as an officer, that's what you should be doing, is finding your people and inspiring them, motivating them to be the best version of themselves.
And making it very clear and concise what your objectives are there as well. Like, even though a team or a platoon or whatever your MOS is may have had 3 officers rotate through them, everyone's going to be different. So when the new guy steps in, you know, have a sit down with, you know, your higher echelon, you know, your team chief and whoever is your higher guys on that team, and, you know, do a little powwow maybe with them first and say, hey, this is who I am and this is what I'm about, you know, and talk to them like a man. And then that way you can start disseminating everything down, you know, to the team. Yeah,
if you walk in and don't do that and you're like, I'm the captain. Yeah. You're just, it's not going to go well for you.
It's going to be a long year.
It's going to be a very, well, now it's like,
whatever, you know what I mean?
That was like 3 years.
Yeah, like workout team time, post time, like whatever. That section of time, it's going to be a long one. And it's going to be a fight, and who wants that? No matter what side of the coin you're on.
Nobody wants that.
No one wants that. It doesn't make for a very fun day to go to work.
No, it's exhausting. Yeah. So, don't be a douche.
Be a leader. Create a cohesive environment.
Yeah, be a leader. Don't be a douche. So that's it. I like to say on Marsoc officers. I'm just going to can that, and we're going to put that on repeat for forever now. What do you feel has been your greatest accomplishment? What would you say was your biggest humbling moment? The biggest humbling moment is going to be every single thing that I've ever done that I've failed at. And there's not one biggest humbling one. I would say every mistake that I've ever made has been a humbling moment, personally. I can't say there's really one thing. I mean, I've like screwed up so much, like patrolling, like all kinds of different things, but they're all equally keeping you in check, and it's also a learning moment. Yeah, you know.
I mean, I could go to the other side of the coin with that. Devil's advocate-ish is, you know, when you do make those accomplishments and when you do have those victories that you set your mind to or your objectives at, is realizing, you know, that you may have someone to your left or to your right that did it a little bit better than you. So even though you put yourself out there as best as humanly possible, you prepped, you studied, or you trained, or whatever the case may be, and you knocked it out of the park. Right?
Someone's smarter and stronger.
Someone's always going to be smarter, stronger, faster, more intelligent. Something's going to be it. Yeah. And using that as a humbling experience, being like, okay, I can be better, and now I'm going to go, you know, and do a little bit better next time.
Or you feel your greatest accomplishment? I haven't gotten there yet. Haven't had my greatest accomplishment yet, because it's in the future. And my point being is, it's always the next one. Yeah. Apart from having kids, I guess you could say. Being a dad, 3 kids.
A check mark in the win column for dad.
Yeah, done.
Cha-ching.
Yeah. You really don't beat that. I was married during my time in Marsoc. We both were. Do you stand by the don't get married during your first enlistment? I mean, typically, yes. But that really depends on the individual and the relationship.
Make sure you know who you are and what you're really getting yourself.
I think that's the biggest problem, is people don't know who they are.
No. And I wouldn't expect you to.
Right.
It's like your first 4 years, 18 to 22, as a kid who's going to college at 18 to 22. Yeah. Like, most people aren't ready to get married at 22.
I mean, most people don't even know who they are until, late 20s. Yeah. And then if you're in the military, you don't even know who you really are until you get out and have to go through that transition and figure out who you are after the military.
I think where that saying comes from, though, is like when op tempo was so freaking high. I mean, like, I was watching guys just get married at the swing of it, almost because they were like, yeah, she's good enough, and I don't know if I'm gonna,
whoever was showing him attention at what was it called, the cave?
Yeah.
The driftwood down there, the Sneeze Ferry Ballet.
Like, yeah, it's good enough, and not putting your self-worth above it, and being like, no, I'm gonna wait for what I want.
Yeah, just, if you're young, be young, do your time. If you really want a good relationship, work out all your bullshit in your life first. Go experience everything you want to experience, and then when you have calmed down, figure out, then do it. Because otherwise, if you do it and you still, you're just gonna wreak havoc on people's lives, man, and to include yourself. Oh yeah, let's train. Let's talk about training.
I hit that.
Yeah. Would you train CrossFit for Recon?
No.
So, I would No. If you want to call it CrossFit, right?
Yeah.
If you want to call it CrossFit, the answer is no. If you want to say strength and conditioning, yes. Right? The word CrossFit, the programming, if you're talking about CrossFit and CrossFit HQ, the programming isn't designed specifically for, training for reconnaissance.
Your program design needs to be specifically designed for the desired outcome that you wish to have.
That's like saying, I want to be a D1, I just learned this too, a D1 football player, so I'm going to do CrossFit. That's, I'm going to train for the combine, so I'm going to do CrossFit. No, you're going to train for the combine.
Yeah. And how are you going to train for the combine? You're going to, those people are going to find a trainer, but I mean, really what the trainers are doing and what your coaches are doing.
They're going to look at the combine.
They're looking at the combine.
And go backwards.
What are you expected to do? What are the objectives you have to achieve? What is, a time frame you have to run this in or should or bench this? How many times? Then they're going to figure out where you are right now, and then they're going to back build a plan specifically for, either that event or for that lifestyle. And CrossFit as just a naming convention.
It's a name.
Is great and for what it is, but it's not a specifically designed thing to get you into really an excelling at any branch of, special operations.
Now, generally, sure.
Yes.
If you have a good coach, and I'm not talking about their main program, like if you go to a CrossFit gym that has a really good strength conditioning coach, they just happen to be a CrossFit gym, then sure, you can get an overall, shape.
Yeah.
But like you're talking about training for reconnaissance, you're talking about rucking, patrolling, swimming, finning. It's just so much bigger.
At some point, you're going to have to do an assessment factor to say, hey, is this training even effective towards my objectives that I have to do? And
right.
Is this training, getting me to a point where I can do this many pull-ups? Is this training getting me to a point where I can ruck, this fast with this much weight on my back, time under distance?
And not, just to point out our book, but honestly, the reason why we wrote that, the Raider Prep book was that is the training that I would have done if I would have known better.
I would have. Wish I would have.
You know what I'm saying? Same with Raider Prep. That's what I would have done. I wouldn't have done the other things that I did. No. I would have done what we've built. And the reasons why we built them is because we went through them and we saw, what was lacking and we saw the issues with it. So no, CrossFit, generally speaking, I would say it's a no. And then I would do something more specified to the area of expertise that you're going for. Yeah. So I keep getting this question about Recon. For some reason, Recon, Force Recon, and Raider, or Marsoc, talking about them disbanding the commands.
They've been talking about disbanding the Marine Corps as a whole for like 20 years.
No, they started. Did you know that the reason why San Iwo Jima was made was to create public support for the Marine Corps because they were talking about disbanding it after World War II.
Yeah.
Like, guys, it's here. Marsoc was stood up in 2006. It's not going to go away. Like, it's part of SOCOM. It's not going to. In the Recon community, I don't know why, what it is, where this comes from is these conventional lieutenant colonel and above people that get out and they go write these articles for these, like, think tanks and all this, like, I got one sent to me the other day talking about how SOF is not elite and special is special, but it's not elite, and they shouldn't be called elite. And I'm like, okay, he made some good points, but you're talking semantics over words now.
Juggling terminology.
You're juggling terminology, and it's just like you're being ridiculous. I don't think it's ever going to go away. I could totally be wrong, but in my opinion, it's not. Like, Marsoc's here to stay. The Marine Corps needs its reconnaissance asset. They made that mistake in the past, and they brought it back. They got rid of Raiders in the past, and they brought it back. I think we've learned from our mistakes at this point, and because of how fast we're rolling these days and what's going on in the world, I don't think we're ever going to slow down enough for them to. I mean, those guys are engaged.
I would surely hope not, because there's, unfortunately, in the world, that has not changed for a very long duration of time. There are things that need to, be encountered with that these guys are specifically designed to counter these people with. And until that stops,
you have a need.
You have a need. And if you have a need, you have to keep producing that need and training and properly organizing and arming and, defensing the people. I want to join the military and enlist, but my family doesn't want me to. There's a lot of other stuff he's saying in there, but I had this conversation with my nephew and then with my sister.
I remember that, yeah.
And it was the same conversation and the same words that I said to both of them that I would say to anybody else. It is your life. It is your career. You do what you want to do. Your family is not going to be the one to walk your shoes and to live in your life for the next 4 to 5 years, whatever it may be, if you so choose to go in. If that's what you want to do, go do it. Your family's going to raise reservations because they care about you. And because they might think that, all these negative and harmful things are going to happen to you. And they're approaching it with caution. They're not trying to figure out, is it something that you want to do, and support you making a decision to do something you want to do.
I love my mom and dad. If I always did what they wanted to do, there's no way I would be where I am at in my life and career and success.
I think
because you're always going to protect your kids and hold them back.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with maybe a parent wanting to do that, but I think as a parent now, my kids are young, so I'm trying to learn that as best as I can right now. Is like, even though I might have some of those thoughts, feelings, and expressions, like I need to ensure that I'm helping them get and achieve what they want.
Right.
And something that's this large, man, I think I actually told my nephew, if I could recall it, it was like, well, fuck her. And it was nothing negative about her as an individual. It was just, she's not going to walk your shoes, and she's not going to live your life.
And what's crazy, what's even worse than that is, imagine if you don't join because of your parents, and then in 5, 6 years, 10 years, 20 years, think about the level of resentment that you might have. If that's something you really want to do and you really want to try, think about the level of resentment that you're going to have against them for holding you back. When truly,
just do what you want.
It's your own fault, though. Yeah.
You know it is, because you made the decision.
You made the decision.
To or to not to. And that goes the same with officers that are enlisted. Like when you're, if your family's trying to push you in one direction and you're trying to go the other, listen to them, right? Just listen to them. It doesn't hurt. Maybe they're going to provide you with something that you didn't
think of,
right? That you didn't think of. So now your perspective and your thought process is a little bit more well-rounded, and you can more clearly make a better decision. But
at the end of the day,
it's you.
It's your decision, 100%. And you have to hold yourself accountable for the failures or successes that you do.
Yeah.
And you can't say, well, you should have maybe not go in, or I should have gone, whatever. You should have, would have, could have. But at the end of the day, when the rubber meets the road, it's your responsibility.
My mom didn't want me to go in. I could guess if I asked her. She signed the paperwork when I was 17.
Yeah.
You really think? I think she was super stoked for me to go enlisted into, 03 infantry in the Marine Corps? Probably not.
You gotta make
but
your own.
She supported me.
You gotta make your own path, man. All right, guys. I think that's it. Call it. All right, guys.
Finito.
Yeah. Remember, text me, and I'll pick 2 people and send you these battle boxes. All I need is an address, and what else? A Gogi training. For those of you who are interested,
jump on board.
Jump on board. If you want to change your life, man, you want to drop 20 pounds, you want to get back in fighting weight, you want to make more money, you want to lose weight, look good naked, and have more sex with your significant other, GoGiTraining.com. And Black Friday's coming. 50% off all training programs and 60% off on the whole enchilada. Check it out. That is a stupid deal.
I don't know who came up with that.
It's a stupid deal because it's over a year's worth of training.
Well over a year's worth of training.
For like less than 50 cents a day.
Yeah.
And it's every single training program that we have digitally for 60% off. It's like over $400 worth of training. So there you guys go. Hit us up. Thank you guys for your questions. Remember to text me. You guys know the deal. Never quit, never surrender. Always forward. And we'll see you guys in the next video.